Will it run? Well, let me tell you, once I started digging into it, we found a few problems. But the good news is, the inside of the engine looked like it was in really nice shape. Let me tell you some more about this tractor. This tractor is a 1931 McCormick Deering, and it's a model Industrial 20. The ID tag is right over here, you can see on the firewall. Now this tractor would have originally been equipped with steel wheels, but somewhere early in its life, somebody bought a Trackson conversion for it. So they took off the steel wheels of this tractor originally and put this track conversion on it. And the track conversion has its own ID tag under this grease cover. There's a couple different Trackson conversions that were made. This is the model LH. And you can see here under this cover is grease zerk fittings. They have tubing to each of the bogie wheels down on the bottom of the tracks. These track conversions are really neat. Just check out all these cast iron gears and sprockets that they had on them. Now if you look right in here on the middle of this rear drive sprocket, you can see a brake band there. And that's how these tractors were steered. Since this tractor normally had a steering wheel with steering linkage to the front wheels, they came up with this brake steering setup for these conversions. So you see each side has its own brake band, and then there's linkage connected to it that goes up and actually ties to the original steering wheel. So when you're driving it, you're using the original transmission through the rear end that drives it, and then you're using turning brakes to control the steering of it. And it still has the original parking brake drum and band here on the side of the crankcase. And the standard 3-speed transmission with reverse. And this one, the forward shifter there, it was an optional PTO control. When I got this tractor, it hadn't been running in many, many years. So all I did was clean out the gas tank and the carburetor and put some fresh gas in it. The magneto still had spark and the spark plug still worked. And I was able to get it fired up. And I ran it for several years. I would move it around the yard and decorate it for Christmas. And the last time after Christmas, we drove it here and parked it, and it hasn't run in several years since then. So I know our hope today is to go through it and try and get it running here. So I'll be honest with you, I came out and took a sniff in the gas tank the other day, and it appears that I did not drain the gas out of it, and it smells nasty. So we're gonna have to pull the tank and probably take the carburetor apart to get this all cleaned up before we even try to start it here. So let's go to the shop and get some tools and we'll get to work. All right, I grabbed a few tools from the shop. We'll start with taking the gas tank off. they're a little bit dry there, but this tractor came out of the desert, so even though it's rusty, the bolts at least aren't frozen. So that makes it really nice to work on. Alright, the tank's unbolted. We just need to get the fuel line disconnected and then we'll be able to get the tank off of here. Alright, the tank's all unhooked, and go ahead and lift it off of there. Hopefully there's not too much old gas in it, and we'll have to get this cleaned out. Whoa. We'll take this over and get it all drained out and cleaned out now. Oh, you can see the fuel pickup right there on the bottom and all that black varnish there around the pickup from the gas that I left in it. So we're gonna have to get this all cleaned out and then we'll get it back on the tractor and some fresh fuel in it. I'm sure the bottom of the carburetor bowl looks the same, so we'll have to get that cleaned out too. Those two covers are on the side of the engine block. And they're actually access holes to get down into the crankcase. We can pull one out and see what the lower end of this thing looks like. You just loosen them up. There's a crossbar in there. Okay. Figure out which way the bar is going. Get that out of the way. So you can see crankshaft here. It's got shimmed main bearings and rod bearings, but overall pretty clean. There's a view at the bottom of the pistons there. You can see this piston's up a little bit. The bores still look like they're in pretty nice shape. Cotter pins are still on the rod caps there, and you can see the shims in there to set the bearing clearance. Cam looks to be in nice shape there with the lifters on it. All right, let's get this work finished up and see if we can get her fired up. All right, let's get this carburetor bowl off to start with so we can see how bad it looks in there. Now I came out a couple days ago and opened the drain valve on the carburetor here, and it was full of really nasty smelling gas. So I'm sure we're gonna have some cleanup work to do in here. Hopefully we just have to pull the bowl off and clean that out. We don't have to take the whole carburetor apart. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can see right in there. float's all green with varnish. And the bowl is a mess too, so we'll have to pull the float off there and get it cleaned up. Hopefully the rest of it looks okay. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and take the float off of this carburetor so we can get it over to the shop to get it cleaned up. And it's pretty easy to remove. You just take out this brass pin here and it should come right out. Oh, the needle fell out. It fell right in the carburetor bowl. Got lucky. I set that there to catch the drips coming off of this carburetor, but I guess it also caught the needle, so that's good. We don't have to try and find it in the dirt. I'm also going to pull this fuel line off. It has some low spots in it, so I'm sure it captured some old gas that got varnished up. And if we don't clean that out, I'm sure once we try to get it going with some fresh gas, it's going to give us grief. So we'll just clean out the whole fuel system here and get some fresh gas in it, and hopefully it'll fire right up for us. Off to the shop to get these parts cleaned. All right, we got an inventory here of the parts we're going to put in the dip sauce here, and we will drop them in and make sure we get all the pieces out. I'm sure they'll come out nice and clean. Be interesting to see what color that float comes out. I bet it'll be shiny brass. All right, let's see how it looks. All right, parts came out nice and clean. We'll give those a quick rinse and start putting this carburetor back together. All right, the carburetor is going back together, so we'll get the bowl on and get some gas in it now. All right, we should be about ready to go here. All right, so we got some gas in it, and we'll show you here. We got the carburetor back together there and the fuel line on. Now I have the fuel shutoff valve turned off on this glass fuel sediment bowl. So we'll open this up and hopefully the fuel will flow in here, fill up, and then it'll go down to the carburetor. Now this tractor doesn't have a kill switch, so the only way to shut it off is to close that fuel valve and let it run out of fuel. So with that, we should be ready to start cranking it over, and hopefully she'll fire up for us. Give it a little bit of choke here. The fuel's on. We'll see what'll happen here. Better make sure it's in neutral. almost. Give it a little less choke here. It's been a couple years, but it sounds like it wants to run, so we'll see here. Maybe this next pull. All right, let's see if we can get it moving. Do a quick walk around of the tractor while it's sitting here running for you. I'm going to get this thing turned around and parked back into its spot, and we'll shut her down. I'm going to go shut the fuel off now. Alright, it'll start running out of gas here. It'll probably pop a couple of times and then be done. Alright, and it finally ran out of fuel and shut down for the day. Hopefully it won't be another 2 years before we have this thing running. I hope you enjoyed checking out my tractor and watching me work on it today. There is a local tractor show coming up this weekend, and I'm thinking about taking it out there and driving it around and sharing it with others. Hope you all have a great one, and we'll catch you next time.